13th, 2024, for the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, starting at 7 o'clock. I'm going to call to order Trustee Twitchell.
Here.
Trustee Wendell.
Here.
Trustee Syracuse.
Here.
Trustee Brockler.
Here.
Trustee Esperson. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have approval of minutes, please.
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of April 29th, 2024, now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
I second this.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
We have guests tonight, ladies and gentlemen, New York State Department of Health to address transportation. I'm used to the Department of Health, yeah, transportation. To discuss the highway maintenance project with us tonight for US Route 20, the Village of Fredonia West Village line. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing us to come in and present today, and the entire board. So we're just going to go quickly through a upcoming project we have. It's a maintenance project throughout the Village of Fredonia on Route 20 from the West Village line to the East Village line. Here's just a location map kind of showing the project limits throughout the village. Oops, that went a little too fast. So description of the work, it's mainly a maintenance project to resurface the road throughout the village, but whenever we do those types of projects, we like to try to see if there's any other, safety issues that we can address through the corridor. We addressed curb ramps and sidewalk to make sure they're up to current ADA standards. So in this project, we're gonna resurface the road. We're gonna, address the curb ramps and the sidewalk. There's a few locations where we're looking to add some bump outs to make the pedestrian crossings a little safer and shorter. And there's a culvert near the west end of the project that's going to be replaced. And then we're going to upgrade some traffic signal equipment. So again, this is kind of the description of work again. Did that advance? Okay. So the project it's roughly 2.85 miles. Again, this is just showing the project limits, 1.5 inches of resurfacing. That's typical standard for resurfacing the road. You mill off the top course and then put it in a new 1.5 inches of top course down. So as I mentioned, we're looking to add some curb bump outs and actually a raised center median at one location here in the project. This is near Billy Boulevard, near the school. You can see the existing crossing is kind of faded there in the background, but we're going to shift that crossing a little bit further to the west and add a raised centered refuge island in the middle there. We pushed it back a little bit to make sure the buses and vehicles coming and making a left onto Main Street heading westbound can make that turn without going over the raised median there. But this was a big concern from the village and Legislator Parker and the Safe Streets Work Group. Did I get that right? Yeah. We've met with them several times over the last year, talking about on the phone or in person, talking about some of the big concerns that the village has and where the safety concerns are throughout the corridor here. Another thing that was done as a kind of a precursor to the project is the speed limit throughout the corridor through the village kind of was 30, then it bumped up to 40 and then back down to 30, and that was changed this year to be consistent 30 throughout the village, with the exception of in front of the school where it's the 20-mile-an-hour zone at the school. So here's a couple of the locations we're looking to add bump outs. At Cushing Street, we're going to add it at both sides of the road. And again, that's just to reduce the pedestrian crossing and make the pedestrians more visible to the traffic. And it's a little shorter crossing distance. And then at Eagle Street, we're gonna add a bump out. Oh, a little glitch there. And then at Forest Place, we're looking to change this a little bit. Currently, the crosswalk is on the west side of the intersection. This is a location that we talked about quite a bit internally with our traffic and safety group, and again with the legislator and mayor, along with other people from the police department and the board. So we're looking to move this crossing to the west side of the road and add bump outs here. We did consider a raised median here, but we can't add the raised median and still make the turn movements for the larger vehicles through here. So we're looking to go forward at this point with just the bump outs on either side of the road, but it will be moved from the west side of the intersection to the east side of the
Can I ask a
intersection.
question about the Forest Place?
Yes,
Will the last parking spot be eliminated?
yes,
Good.
yeah, so
Thank you.
you will lose one parking spot there.
Thank you.
Yes. And then at Cleveland Avenue, we have a bump out on the one side of the road. We couldn't get it on the south side of the road for, again, the vehicle turning movements. We couldn't fit one in there, but we did get one on the north side of the road there. There is some right-of-way impacts for this project, pretty minor for the most part. There's mostly, as I mentioned earlier, the curb ramps need to be addressed throughout the project corridor. We want to make sure they're up to current standards, and we have some small fee takes at a couple intersections just to be able to build the proper curb ramp there. So they're kind of little triangle takes at some corners. A fee is when the state purchases the right-of-way and takes ownership of it. A couple locations we have PEs, which are permanent easements. We got those for the culvert replacement, and that's a situation where the state purchases the property and has permanent access to it, but doesn't have the underlying ownership of it. And then we have one location where we have a temporary easement, which is just for construction purposes. We needed a little more room. And then at conclusion of the project, that property rights go back to the original owner. Our right-of-way group has been out to the owners of these properties and has started the process and just been in discussions with them about these locations. So again, most of this is for, little corners for curb ramps or the culvert replacement. The project schedule, we're currently scheduled to open the bids in January of 2025. That might get changed to February to allow more time to work through the right-of-way process, depending on how quickly that goes. But either way, it's going to be let in the winter of 25, and construction's anticipated to start in the spring of 25, and it's a one-season project, so it'll be completed by the end of the year. As far as the culvert replacement, we have provisions in the contract where they're going to bore the new pipe through underneath the road, so we won't have to rip up the road and detour traffic for that. And, we put provisions in the contract to avoid any special holidays or festivals or anything like that. But for the most part, the work will be daily set up and take down lane closures as needed. So that's kind of what I had is for the presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. Yes?
Yes, there is a safety-related issue on the Main Street corridor. It relates to a retaining wall that's connected to the downstream wing wall of the Main Street Bridge. This is a retaining wall that supports a sidewalk and a small pocket park adjacent to the Fredonia Fire Hall. The wall is crumbling at this point. It's also a historic wall representing the foundation of an old mill that was there in the 19th century.
Okay.
Because the Fredonia Fire Department has already placed one monument on this park, and now they intend to put another monument on this park, it would seem, in addition to the fact that the wall is attached, the crumbling wall is attached to a DOT structure, that being the wing wall of the Main Street Bridge,
Mhm.
that it might be something that we could consider adding to your bid submissions in January.
Mhm. I can take that back and take a look into that, and see where that goes, yeah, we'll have to try to find more out about that. But Dan will take some notes on that, and we'll check into that. Yes?
Bump outs aren't a popular thing for people I've talked to.
Okay.
They force people to move wide to take a turn on an intersection. And sometimes you can't do that because the street that you're turning into is a narrow street. Cleveland Avenue, Eagle Street, Forest Place are very narrow streets. And that will cause people to move into the line of traffic coming out of Forest Place. And same thing with Eagle Street and I guess it's Cushing Street was your other street.
So I'll go back. So Cleveland and Forest Place, in this situation, Forest, you'd only have to worry about westbound traffic, I'm assuming, if you look, because it's a T intersection there. And that's going where a parking spot is currently. And we've looked at the turn radius for vehicles, so they'll be able to make that turn.
It does, experience I've lived here for quite a few years,
Mhm.
and I've seen what happens with these bump outs. There's a lot of people opposed to them.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you could outline this in writing so we could have a meeting. There's a planning board we have, and I think the planning board would like to look at these proposals and maybe make recommendations to you regarding them. I think the village board would also probably like to see it and make some recommendations.
Mhm. Well, we can submit the plans, and we're happy to, receive some comments, but we've been working, with the village and the Safe Streets Work Group for over a year on this, and there's a lot of benefits to the bump outs as well. And they're definitely something that the DOT is installing more and more. Multimodal and pedestrian safety is a huge, yeah.
The State Street Group is not representatives of the village, it's the Board of Trustees.
Right, I
So
understand
they're the
that.
ones that will make a recommendation.
Right. So, but I just want to add to that too, that all these locations were, thoroughly vetted with our traffic and safety group, the DOT, and they did a safety study throughout the corridor. And one of the recommendations that they came up in their study were to add bump outs at these locations that we have in here too.
Personally, I think there'll be a big problem.
Mhm.
Because those are narrow streets that are forcing cars now to come around, cars coming out to Main Street from Cleveland Avenue out to Route 20, or from Cushing Street or Forest Place. It's going to create an issue because cars coming in, so they're going to be forced to take wide radiuses to turn into those streets.
So I understand what you're saying, but they can't make those turns right now unless they're driving into parked car or cutting through park spots.
Yeah.
Those are parking
These were
spots right
also,
now.
these were also bump outs
Right.
that were approved by our police chief.
Yes.
And these bump outs are where you shouldn't be driving anyway. So
Right.
if you're having
Right.
an issue and if you're running
Right.
into the bump outs or you think that people are going to be running into the bump outs, well,
Right.
they shouldn't be driving in those spots of the road anyway. You aren't
Right.
meant to drive through parking spaces. You are not meant to drive on the shoulder, whether you're making a turn or
Right.
not. You're to go from driving lane to driving lane.
As
So-
someone that tries to make a left off Forest Place many times a day, nothing could be more dangerous than the way it is now. Because that last parking spot, inevitably, there's a big truck right there. So you have to pull halfway out on Main Street just to see around it.
Before you can
Now that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This will stop that from happening.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Curb ramps are just the access ramps for pedestrians at the intersections. Just the concrete ramp that goes up to the sidewalk. We call them ramps because you're going from the pavement elevation up to the sidewalk elevation, which is usually like 6 inches to get to the top of the curb.
Sort of like the ones we have for the folks in wheelchairs on the curb, on the corners.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's all the corners and intersections to get you from the road up to the sidewalk.
For example, if you could send this format to the village and
we can send over the plan set.
This is the time to do it, and give you some comments that you
Yeah.
might want to consider.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Ms.
just
Legislative
wanted to
Cracker.
point out that our Safe Streets work group consists of this. The mayor's on it, Trustee Wandell, Trustee Syracuse, Dave Price, Chief Price, and Scott Marsh, the DPW. That is what makes up the Safe Streets, so
Brian Luce was at that meeting as well. Brian Luce is the current member, current
Planning
planning board president, was at this meeting, and he's seen these plans.
I know Brian Luce, who was chair, I don't know, was he chairman of the planning board now?
Yes.
Or going to be possibly?
Yeah.
He wanted to, his board wanted to take a look at these proposals.
Yeah.
Also,
just to
at
reassure
the,
you that the village has really seen them.
right, and at the end of the day, this is the state DOT's project. They have
Right.
been gracious enough to let us, propose a couple of ideas and bring some of our concerns and addressed a lot of our concerns.
Right.
So we thank you for that.
Yeah.
So anybody else with any questions before we move on?
I do. It's a softball. The ramps, when you go from the street to the sidewalk.
Yes.
What is the warning for the wheelchair user to know that they're going into a street from the sidewalk?
There's detectable warnings at the dome bumps at the bottom of it.
Okay,
So those will be on all the
Okay.
curb ramps, yeah.
okay.
I just want to add, the department's mission is more and more becoming more sensitive to other users other than vehicles. It's a big push for pedestrians and bicyclists, and our roads aren't just for vehicles, so we're more and more conscious of that, and you're gonna see this more and more in our projects as we come through.
Right.
Pedestrian safety is a huge, someone gets in a little fender bender with a car, okay, you can get your insurance and you can get that fixed. You get in a fender bender with a person, that's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
Will there be a bike lane for the whole 2.9 miles or whatever?
So the bike lane where it's currently striped, where there's a 5-foot striped bike lane, that's gonna remain, but the pavement markings are gonna be shifted throughout the other areas, so there's gonna be shared use markings throughout, so there'll be from village line to village line, there'll be shared use lanes or the dedicated bike lane.
Okay.
And the reason for that is from one of our meetings, where there isn't already a designated bike lane, the street is not wide enough to accommodate bike lanes
Right.
that are designated use.
Right, and the scope of this project didn't account for pushing the curbs back and taking right away from everyone throughout the corridor, so this is, most of everything we're doing is within the curb limits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I would
Thanks.
just like to say, I would like to have the planning board review this.
Mhm.
That's what their purpose is.
Yeah, we
To
can
help us.
send the plans over.
Okay.
If I send an
but-
email to Jan, you'll logo?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll.
We'll send a preliminary plans, yep.
Yeah,
But-
okay, thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The public portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand at the microphone, state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves, 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a legitimate group. I will ask speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. Do we have the sign sheet? First speaker is Rob Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. As always, it's a privilege to come up and play Yosemite Sam with you guys. And I care a great deal about what I come to the table with, and I know you do too. One of the things that's been bugging me lately is I really think the Chautauqua County Health Department owes us an apology. They owe apology to SUNY and Dunkirk for how they engaged in the use of radio, print, public, forum, social media to shake the confidence of our water users. They're scaring the village, and it's popping up everywhere you go. Somebody, oh, you can't drink Fredonia water, you can't drink Fredonia. It's working. Whatever they're trying to do is working. And it's really too bad that that's happening the way it is. Dishonesty and doublespeak is the hallmark of this. And, you know, when it comes right down to it, we don't need this political fight over how to produce and deliver water to the customers. We need the most knowledgeable local people studying the existing infrastructure and associated vulnerabilities in both Dunkirk and Fredonia and immediately behind. And they need to exchange the ideas on rational, low-cost, best approach changes to achieve our regional water security. There's already great risk in single sourcing water, so we have to be vigilant to dig up lesser known vulnerabilities that would be catastrophic for the region. And I suppose this is tongue in cheek, but a lot of money has been spent on our interconnections, and then we're afraid to use them. Is it not possible to do anything right anymore? How are we to know that when we spend the millions of dollars to connect Dunkirk, we'll not even use that? I've noticed too that now that we raised our water rates, everybody's raised our water rates. We had a nice system, we could have fixed our system, we'd be done with it, we'd be separated from everything else, but now we're embroiled in a regional thing that we never should have been in the first place. Thank you. How'd we do? 2 minutes.
Mr. Samdrio.
I'm glad to see the censorship order, sometimes referred to as gag order, has been lifted then, Mayor?
Yeah, the law based on open meetings in New York State has been lifted, even though we have not gotten a resolution from the court yet.
Okay. I'm sure your attorneys have told you the open meetings law doesn't prohibit the public from addressing the board. In fact, that's been the practice of our village for many years. Before I was here, and I think if you check the village minutes, they reflect going back even before my time, the ability of the public to come here and address their elected representatives under certain reasonable rules. So I'm hoping that will continue. And I'm going to cut a lot of this out because you've lifted the gag order. But one thing I think needs to be remembered is that the rules governing the conduct of the meeting is the Board of Trustees, or the procedures. That's governed by the village board. Conducting the meetings, according to our charter, is up to the mayor. But the procedures of how people are going to come and speak, how long, so forth and so on, that's determined by the village board. And those rules are still in effect. I haven't heard any resolution by the village board repealing the right of the public to speak here.
There's no right of the public according to open law, New York State, Sam. I was prepared for you. Law number 103, open meetings. Meeting location must be public and able to attend and observe. Right to attend and observe does not include right to be heard per New York State and in the charter. May include observance of public body participation via video conferencing, and if we were doing video conferencing, would have to be done. That's New York State law.
But you're only quoting half the law, Mayor. The other half is the law doesn't prohibit people from coming to the board and speaking to them as long as the board okays that, and they have done that about 10 years ago. So you're only quoting half the law.
Well, I've got the entire law right here if you'd like to
Yeah,
read
and
this.
that law
about 10
doesn't
pages
prohibit
long.
the public from speaking.
It does
Ask
when
your attorneys and they'll confirm that.
we did, and that's why they told us to do what we did.
Well, they're not
So
correct
thank
on
you.
that. And that, as I mentioned, you can go back before my time. That's been a practice before this board. Democratic principles
Right.
should tell you that you have the obligation to listen to the people that put you in public office.
We have the obligation to listen to people. We don't have the obligation to listen to impersonal insults.
Let's,
No,
which is
let's,
being
let's
done
let
now.
the public have their
Sam,
portion, please.
Sam, your time is running out, so.
No one's saying they have to do that, Mayor. No one's condoning any insults. It's giving the public, the elected people put you in office, the right to speak and give their say to you. And that's been the practice forever in this village. New York State Constitution, I'll just recite that one sentence from the New York State Constitution. Every citizen may freely speak, write, or publish his or her sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for abuse, and no law shall be passed to refrain or abridge the liberty of speech or of the press. That's it.
Thank you, sir. James Linden, Fredonia.
Good evening again, James Linden. I'm going to start with just a few things. I want to go back to having to deal with the last boil water order and the reasons behind it, where the county required the divers in the clear well to inspect and vacuum the sediment. And at that time, prior to that, it was discussed of how you could mitigate the issue of the possibility of a boil water order, that they would be able to turn off the filtration plant and utilize our Webster Road tank and then the three other sources, the Vineyard Drive and then the connections with the North County Water District. Well, if those for some reason those connections couldn't have worked, which apparently they didn't with the North County Water District, why wasn't that delayed? There's no reason you had to put them in there immediately until they were assured that at least the connections that gave us enough volume between at least one of those other connections on North County Water District was functional, which it clearly wasn't. They knew whether it was or was not, but they still had those divers put in the tank. I think that needs to be addressed, and the public should be made aware that this happened, and they made it sound like our water is not good or we have major problems at the plant. It was not a problem at the plant. The problem was the issue was that under routine inspection. This happened, but it was the North County Water District's connections that were not functioning. There's the problem. If those were working, I don't believe there would have been a problem. Next thing I want to address is the issue that our mayor recently was on the radio station. I believe it was May 9th here, I think it was. And he stated that our village reservoir is not fed by springs, and he was very adamant about it, saying it's not fed by springs. Well, it's funny because I have a state document that says that our water sources for the village includes springs, streams, marshes, and many other types of things that run into the reservoir from whatever areas. And it's protected by law. And I will hand this to the mayor here because I think he needs to read it. And I highlighted where it says it is protected by law. And if I may, just the last thing is the statement in the recent thing of the leader, the SUNY campus, where the mayor states clearly that his full intentions are to provide all the water to the university from the city of Dunkirk. That's clear intention of where to go. It's not we're thinking about fixing this or fixing that. It's clear intention. Thank you.
Last speaker, Mark Twitchell, Fredonia.
Thank you, Mayor. I have maybe three, maybe four things quickly. First of all, I would strongly urge the board to adopt a moratorium on solar development in the village. As of now, we have no protection, no matter where you stand, whether you think solar energy is good, bad, or otherwise. There needs to be a law to regulate how close to property lines, how loud. Decommissioning issues are huge. It's typical for a municipality to declare a moratorium of 6, maybe 12 months. Town of Pomfret went through this a few years ago. Second, I was happy to find that a secret document, which was approved by this board on April 15th by resolution, does not require a FOIL. Now, I had stopped in at the clerk's office maybe a little over a week ago, and this was before that I realized that it was already publicly accessible on the Chautauqua County Supreme Court website. So I was happy to withdraw my application for the FOIL, but I would strongly urge that the clerk print the environmental assessment form that was this board approved, because it is a secret document. It is meant to be viewed by the public, and by law it should be available at the Village Hall for review. Another issue, I was privileged to attend the hearing, the Article 78 hearing in Chautauqua last week, but I observed something that was somewhat disconcerting, and I think it relates maybe as a follow-up to what Jim Linden just mentioned in regards to the county. At the end of the hearing, the various attorneys and their clients, that being the village and the petitioners, entered their own client rooms for post-hearing conferences. Now, at this point, I saw a representative from the County Department of Health enter the client room, and others who were there observed that two other people from the County Department of Health entered the client room. My question immediately became, what is the county doing to support the village in this action? Is the county a client in this action? And I sent a message to that effect to my two county legislators, Mr. Scudder and Ms. Parker. I thank Ms. Parker for forwarding my message to the county's attorney's office and the county director of the Department of Health. But I am not holding my breath. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes this portion of public speaking for tonight. We do have a letter of correspondence.
Chief Inspection Officer Charles LaBarbera, I'm writing this letter to raise awareness about a problem that is being felt in the Summer Street and Seymour Street neighborhoods. I live at 8 Seymour Street, and my backyard connects to the property of 31 Summer Street, which has been abandoned for approximately 5 years. The property is presently for sale and is bank-owned. This property has become infested with groundhogs, raccoons, squirrels, mice, and other vermin that is spilling over to adjoining properties, creating not only a health hazard but a property damage issue as well. Please do whatever is in the scope of your power to resolve this nuisance. Neighbors in every direction of this property are being affected by this infestation. Sincerely, Steve Ubaney. That's the only letter I have.
We have additional correspondence here from May 1st.
We can go forward for that, yeah.
Okay.
The public portion can be closed.
Public portion is officially closed. Correspondence dated May 1st.
Was received from Douglas Sanderson, Village of Police Department Dispatcher, notifying the village of his resignation effective May 16th, 2024.
Be it resolved that the resignation of Douglas W. Sanderson, Fredonia, New York, is hereby accepted, and the mayor is authorized to send a letter to Mr. Sanderson thanking him for his service to the village of Fredonia.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Correspondence dated April 29th, 2024 was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department requesting permission to hang a banner across Temple Street from May 13th until June 1st, 2024.
Be it resolved that the request of the Volunteer Fire Department to hang a banner across Temple Street from May 13th until June 1st, 2024 is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that all information regarding this request will be provided to National Grid and DFT.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee
Hold on,
Won-
second.
I'm sorry. Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Correspondence dated April 25th, 2024 was received from Linda Leakey, co-chairperson of the Fredonia Italian Heritage Festival Committee, requesting the use of village property during the 2024 Fredonia Italian Heritage Festival.
Be it resolved that the request of the Fredonia Italian Heritage Festival asking for the use of various village properties during the festival on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024. Festival will take place at the Fredonia Beaver Club is hereby approved. Be it further resolved that the following requests are hereby approved. 1, use of several containers to be located on the perimeter of and on the Fredonia Beaver Club premises. 2, use of village safety cones and barricades. This will assist with traffic control. 3, use of the village police sign at the corner of Main Street, Route 20, and Prospect Street a week prior to the event in an effort to increase safety at the intersection and direct people to the event.
I second this.
Before we go to the vote, I want to update you that the police sign currently is not in working order. They expect that it should possibly be fixed by that time, but it's under repair. So that being said, Trustee Twitchell,
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Thank you. A mayor's report, going back to April 29th, spoke at a rally to support SUNY Fredonia and possibly gaining additional finance to support their programming. April 30th, gave an interview to a reporter from The Leader. On May 1st, we attended a Vineyard Drive Complete Streets program meeting. On May 2nd, met with Matt Higgins of LaBella to continue discussion for our seeker on water program. On May 2nd, attended Chadwick Bay Regional Committee meeting. May 3rd, held my first department head meeting in my chambers. May 3rd, also attended a WebEx webinar to review and discuss and update on any remaining village water compliance violations and or updates for the county. May 6th, made an appearance as mayor of the Village of Fredonia in the Maid of Mayhem show at Fredonia State University's Roush Hall. May 7th, we reviewed the DFCC's Go Bike recommendations for both Fredonia and Dunkirk through the Central Avenue Connections route. On May 8th, conducted our last village workshop. On May 9th, appeared on WDOE 96 Kicks Viewpoint, discussed several topics, one of them being Not Fred Fest. And on May 9th, met with the Dunkirk mayor and her water and DPW staff, continues discussions about possible water connections and how they may work. On May 9, reviewed the Water Street Crosswalk project with County IDA and village steering committees. On the 11th, I attended and spoke at the 2024 Fredonia Firemen's Installation Awards Dinner to be held at the Williams Center at Fredonia State University. And I want to thank the men and women who have been serving this community for over 100 years. And we thank you for your service and continued service to this community. May 13th, met with a possible new business owner from our Main Street corridor. And also today, we spoke at the unveiling of the Fredonia Street Piano Project, which not only includes the art department, but the music department as well. 3 pianos will be distributed throughout the community, just like the one we had last year at the gazebo. One will be placed in that same location. One will be placed on the Dunkirk Pier, and the other will be placed in a welcome area at Fredonia State University. So we thank all of them. This is also coming up on graduation week, so we congratulate all of our Fredonia State students who are graduating today and welcome in a new coming batch coming up this fall. So, and returning students as well. So that is my report for this week. Trustee committee reports. Trustee Brockler.
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Esperson.
Yeah, we've had a meeting or two with LaBella, the City of Dunkirk representatives, the mayor, and their DOT. Department of Health, our attorneys, IMG representatives, to discuss an intermunicipal agreement which needs to be completed before we can send in grant applications. There's got to be an intermunicipal agreement in order to do that. I was, fortunate enough to go to the Fireman's Banquet, and you can't express your gratitude to firefighters, EMTs, keeping our village safe 24/7, 365. And Mr. Twitchell, to answer your question, I had asked the DST or DOH to step in because I had questions that I didn't think our attorney had answers to, that I knew they could provide him those answers. And that's why they were asked to come in and speak. Yep.
That's your report?
Yep.
Trustee Syracuse.
First of all, happy National Police Week to our police department. They work really hard, especially after not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I also was in attendance of the fire banquet and installation. There were a lot of really great men and women recognized that, for the most part, they have a pretty thankless job, so it's nice to take a pause to really thank them for all the hard work that they do. We will be doing a call for artists for the artwork that's going to be going down on Water Street for part of that project. So be on the lookout for that. Also, Embrace Fredonia is going to be hosting the Attic and Cellar Days, so you can register online or here at Village Hall. Registration is open until the 24th of May. Attic and Cellar Days is then May 31st that weekend. Their registration form this year is very helpful, and it is going to really outline key items that you might be selling, so that way people know that they for sure want to go to your yard sale at that weekend. So that's all I have.
Trustee Twitchell?
Yes, I also attended the Fireman's Banquet, and it was great. I sat with Krista and Ron Hagberg and the Beach family, and it was great recognizing everyone for their hard work. And my husband and I really enjoyed it. There is something I do want to bring up that's on the agenda for the treasurer's report about transferring $25,000 from the water fund balance to water attorney. It's not explained, and because this wasn't at the workshop, we never got a chance to talk about it. And I will say once again, that's why we should have our workshops before the meetings. So we're not left with short notice of transferring money without asking questions beforehand. And I did want to point out in our April treasurer's report, our treasurer said there are multiple departments that are overspending their budgets and not submitting purchase information until after the purchase is complete, which is not the way municipal purchasing works. I have supplied the trustees and mayor with copies of the financial handbook, which discusses purchasing. I would like to have this put in place by June 1st so we are able to get a hold of this spending before we eliminate the entire fund balance. And I want to thank our treasurer for including that statement, because I think it's really important to take a hold on our spending. We don't want to end up like Dunkirk, just spending money without really needing to. And the other thing I wanted to talk about that I received an email from Trustee Syracuse today, and it was from Labella. And I really don't appreciate getting a report 3 hours before the meeting. And I have requested from Labella to send out these reports to everyone. They were just sent out to Trustee Esperson and Trustee Syracuse. And I don't know if either Trustee Brockler or Trustee Wandel ever received that. And I really don't think it's fair. The whole board should be informed on what's going on. And I would like to object to the walk-on resolution, which cover expenses without prior conversations and workshops, especially when they arrive to my notice only a few hours before voting. And the walk-on resolution for Labella Seeker preparation for option 3 reservoir drawdown, I will be voting nay on this for funding the Seeker for a project to which I'm opposed. Thank you. That's my report.
Trustee Wandel?
Thank you. I attended in the last approximately 10 days 2 meetings. One was our Safe Streets meeting with the New York State Department of Transportation, contributing ideas, feedback, so we can get our Route 20 project going in the right direction. Happy to do that, and I like that cooperation with New York State. Go Bikes was the other meeting that I attended with Legislature Parker, and that is a project that is going in the right direction. Also happy to contribute to that, and it's really about safety for our community, our pedestrians, as was highlighted earlier, cyclists. So safety is always number one. That's it.
Thank you. Before we go to the Treasurer's report, I want to remind everybody that the deadline for applications for the Main Street, New York Main Street grant improvements are due May 17th, just a reminder. If you have not submitted one yet, you can come to the village clerk, Anne Marie, during regular business hours to pick one up. I do believe that there's one online as well.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. So once again, May 17th, which unfortunately is coming faster than most of us would care to. Treasurer's report.
I have the financial information through the end of April 2024. General fund revenue, $6,073,067. Expenses, $7,011,940 for a net income of negative $938,873. Water fund revenue, $1,369,858. Expenses, $2,030,785, and for a net income of negative $660,926. In the sewer fund, we have revenue of $1,373,757. Expenses, $1,917,407, for a net income of negative $543,651. Just want to touch base that we did receive, well, Chip did receive a grant for his camera through the North County Community Foundation.
Northern
Saying
Saco
that?
Community
Yes,
Foundation.
that's it. So he will be able to order a new camera for our meetings
Excellent.
here.
There we go.
Treasurer, I think that was a little bit less, though, than what he was
Yes,
applying
and he
for.
actually is working on the other part with
Okay.
DFT. They're gonna assist with a little bit more.
Okay, great.
Thank you for your report. Additional report, Ann.
The code enforcement report for the month of April 2024. Building permits issued 28, inspections 98, certificates of occupancy 62, certificates of compliance 25, violations found 10, and violations satisfied 9. Fees collected, of those fees, permit fees $1,443.40, certificate of compliance fees $2,035, zoning fees $100 for a total of $3,478.40. Rental inspections 14, rental renewals 13. 28 permits generated $1,443.40 revenue. The estimated cost of work for the month of April was $392,481. That's the only report I have.
I do want to mention, since we're talking about code enforcement, that I had a chance to speak with Chuck as well as the village office folks here. We are going to be working with the planning board and zoning board, that we do have a number of derelict properties in the Village of Fredonia, both locally owned and out of town owned, that we are going to be clamping down on this summer. So we're bringing all 4 of those individuals together so that we can identify those, address what has been done in the past perhaps, and recommendations for what we can do to make sure that the few places that we do have that have blight are cleaned up in a timely manner. Resolutions.
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 5520 of Village Law, the following attached budget transfers are hereby approved and on file in the Village Clerk's Office, 9 to 11 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, 14063.
I second this.
Trustee Twitchell.
Nay.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye. Be it resolved that the training request of Scott Marsh, Superintendent of Public Works, to attend the 2024 annual school for highway superintendents in Ithaca, New York, from June 3 to 5, 2024, is hereby approved at a cost not to exceed $600 for lodging, training, and travel. This conference is sponsored by Cornell University and New York State Association of Towns.
Second?
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee set forth in abstract 714 through 716 are hereby approved and directed, paid, and filed in the Village Clerk's Office, 9-11 Church Street, Fredonia, New York.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell.
I'm not sure what this all includes. I guess I can't vote on this right now.
Payroll.
It's payroll.
Is
We,
it just payroll?
yeah,
That's what it
we've,
says.
we've done this resolution.
Regular and overtime payroll.
Yeah,
Okay,
Regular.
that's what that is.
I'll vote aye then.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Whereas the Village of Fredonia approved the purchase of a car in the 2024-2025 budget for the police department, and whereas Joe Cicione's Chrysler Complex of Niagara Falls, New York has supplied a proposal for a 2024 Durango Pursuit in the amount of $41,625, and whereas the police car is being purchased on state bid and the 2024 Durango Pursuit vehicle is suitable for the village's needs, therefore, be it resolved, the village board hereby authorizes the purchase of the 2024 Durango Pursuit on June 1st, 2024 in the amount of $41,625.
Second.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Before we get into the walk-on resolutions, I would like to point out that at our last workshop, we discussed walk-on resolutions, and that if there were any questions before we voted on anything, we would have discussion. So I think it's inappropriate, before we even discuss the resolution, to say you're not voting for it when we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. If you want to vote no, that's fine. But to say I'm not going to vote for it because it's a walk-on, when we kind of modified everything so we could talk about it, I don't even know what to say about that, but go ahead.
So do you just want to bring up the follow-up email that you just received as well?
Yes. So there were actually, in his initial email, there were 3 different steps that Labella advised that we take, and we told him we weren't going to do that. He said the first step, to have the environmental people walk through the property, because there are 2 potential issues with long-eared bats and some salamander that would have come up no matter what option we chose, because I specifically asked them that. Option 1, 2, or 3, the same issue would have reared its ugly head. So having the environmentalists do a preliminary walkthrough when the seeker does get finalized may mitigate how that, what the final outcome of that is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 5520 of Village Law, the following budget transfers are hereby approved. $5,500 from F8029 Water Fund Balance to F8330.44 Purification Contractual.
Second.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Nay.
Whereas the Village of Fredonia used the Labella engineering study to select an option for where the board would like to receive the water for the village from, and whereas the Board of Trustees selected option 3 of the Labella report, and whereas Labella PLLC Rochester, New York has offered a proposal of an aquatic feature field investigation regarding the seeker in the amount of $5,500 for the village, therefore, be it resolved, the village board hereby authorizes Labella PLLC to prepare the seeker aquatic feature delineation and habitat report in the amount of up to $5,500.
Second.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
I wasn't in favor of option 3, so I'll vote nay on this.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye. Whereas Chapter 208 of the Code of the Village of Fredonia titled Parking and Traffic provides for on-street metered parking zones under Schedule 20, and whereas Schedule 20 lists both sides of Water Street from Main Street to the bridge as an on-street metered parking zone, but does not require a specific number of parking spaces. Whereas Section 208-31 titled Designation of Parking Spaces states that the Fredonia Streets Department is directed and authorized to provide for the marking off of individual parking spaces in the parking meter zones designated and described in Schedule 20, and whereas the first on-street metered parking space located on the west side of Water Street traveling south from the West Alley must be removed to provide space for the installation of a crosswalk on Water Street. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, after due deliberation, finds it in the best interest to remove the individual parking space in order for the installation of the crosswalk. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia hereby directs the removal of the individual parking space described in this resolution to permit the installation of the crosswalk, and be it further resolved, the Fredonia Streets Department is hereby directed and authorized to remove the marking of the individual parking located on the west side of Main Street, traveling south from the west alley as permitted under the village code.
Second.
If I may correct you, you said Main Street, it would be Water Street.
On the west side of Water Street.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yes. Second,
Second.
trustee Twitchell,
Aye.
trustee Wandell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the training request of Scott Marsh.
We already did that.
We did that.
Sorry.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking that we, motion move to executive session to discuss a personnel employment issue with fire department.
I'll make the motion that we go into executive session to discuss fire department personnel matters.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Wandell.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next meeting, the Village of Fredonia workshop, will take place on Wednesday, May 22nd at 9 a.m. in the Trustee Room, second floor, Village Hall. Note that the next Village of Fredonia board meeting will take place Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, 7 p.m. in the Trustee Room because of Memorial Day. So we wish those who want to celebrate Memorial Day the chance to do so, and we will be here on Tuesday, the 28th at 7 p.m. Both of our workshops and our board meetings can be seen on our YouTube channel. We thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a great evening. We have a dismissal.